Hello, it's Pete here again, and today, well, we're feeling rather festive, as you can see, but it's all about this wonderful set from the stamps and framelits from 49 and Market. We're going to look at some tips and tricks, how to get the best out of it, and how to use stamping really creatively to get some wonderful effects. We're also going to be looking at the inks from 49 and Market and Ranger which have come out, which I'm a little bit obsessed with. So let's get cracking. This is my stencil and stamp tool. You can see it's mine because it's covered in ink. It's covered in paint. It's covered in all sorts. It needs a clean, but you know what? It's a tool, and it works as well as it did the day I took it out of the box. So I make no excuses for that. Now, this is the stencil adapter. So this has the little pegs, so your stencils sit on there, you get perfect registration. There are dozens of videos showing how to get the best out of this wonderful tool. So I won't bore you with that right now, because today it's about this. It's about having it as a stamp platform, but an A4 stamp platform. Now, there are no magnets with this system. There's a sticky grid sheet. This is very, very low tech, okay? But it holds your project in place. That's all you need to do, and it's not going to go anywhere. So that means you're getting perfect registration. Now, Poinsettia Trio. You can see here, like you would stamp this would be the color. You would stamp that one over the top. We're not going to be doing that today because that's a little bit obvious. You guys can see that, that's not a problem. We've also got the pine cones, you know, we've got the foliage and everything going on. So there are lots of options within this set. And of course, it does incorporate the framelit dies as well. But I'm going to show you some fun ways to use these stamps, but with water-reactive inks. And I am using the new 49 and Market water-reactive inks from who else but the wonderful Ranger company. Now let's take some of these out. Let's have a look what's going on here, because let's start with, I'm going to use the two larger plain ones. I'm going to also, yeah, we'll use that. I'll explain as I go along. Yeah, that should just about do it, actually. Okay. Right. So I'll take that up. Sorry, I'm trying to make executive decisions here. I'm going to start off with it. Now, this one you can see how it's kind of broken up, which gives you a really cool effect. But I'm going to place it there. It doesn't matter where I place these at the moment because I'm doing a sheet of stamping. What matters is the techniques that I use. And I'm going to show you a couple of different ways of doing this. Now, obviously, it's Poinsettia, it's red. But I'm going to start with peach. Okay, you can see really cool color. These are dye-based inks. So the dye-based water-reactive inks. And I'm going to bring in this color. This is watermelon, and this one's strawberry pie. Strawberry pie. Now, when I looked at these and it says strawberry pie, I'm like, is that a thing? Apparently it is. Strawberry pie. Never had one. Must try it. Okay. So you ever had strawberry pie, Steve? No, Steve hasn't had strawberry pie either. Is that a new one on you? It is. We get a nod. We're both out for strawberry pie once we film this. So I'm just going to bring that down. Remember, these water-reactive inks, they are not stamping inks per se. So you're going to get a lovely broken finish like that, which is cool by itself. But what happens when I spritz into that stamp with clean water and bring it back down? See this? See how the water starts to react with that? How it starts to pool in certain places? And then I lift it up. Oh my word. We'll hold these up later so you can see them clear. Wow, that is cool. See the peach coming in there? So you've got three colors, and you can see those three colors in action. Let's do another one next to that, because this one I'm going to do slightly different. Don't forget, once you've spritzed, to make sure you not clean it off, but dry it off so that the stamp it here properly, because this time, let's come in with a peach again. Okay. And some strawberry pie. And finally that wonderful, wonderful watermelon. And I do love this watermelon color. Is it a red? Is it a pink? It's the answer is both and neither at the same time. Just a really cool color. As is the peach. I really like that one. But this time, right, I'm not going to stamp. I'm going to spritz. Now that's one single spritz. Just another little tiny one. See the water already pooling on there like that. Now let's get this in place and bring it down. See something quite different happening. See that? See as that water pools, reacts, all those little droplets, and then we'll lift it away. Boom. Now that's a different color. The colors have all kind of blended on that one. They've all mixed in, which again is cool. That's not a problem. This is what I want. It's experimentation. We're seeing what works best. Now, I'm going to go with a larger one because we're going to put one on top of the other. So, I'll lift that up. This time, we're just coming in with peach. Okay? So we're going to do them separately now. So that's the peach color. See the difference there? See the contrast? Now, let's bring in a little bit of watermelon. So that's coming down on top of the peach. Holy moly, that is so cool. Look at the difference that makes. And finally, a bit of strawberry pie. Now I'm going to pick up the edges with the strawberry pie. And I'm going to come down with this one. But before I do, we're going to spritz again. So this is going to react with those inks. It's going to pull. That is such a cool effect. That is the natural effect. That's how the stamps are here. They're kind of broken up like that. That is so cool. I love that. Love that. So we're just playing around. We're experimenting. Now this one, this stamp is actually, this shows all the veins and all the detail. Okay. So I'm taking a slightly different tack with this one. And we're going to go, as we did before, let's take the peach all the way around and a little bit of strawberry pie. So that's the watermelon, strawberry pie. Okay, now I'm going to spritz, just one light spritz, because this gives you a really, really nice stamp effect. You see that? But look what happens now. I'm going to spritz again. Okay? I'm going to bring that down, and I'm going to do this. Right? So see how it starts to blot? See how the water seeps? So it's kind of, I could have got a perfect finish with that just by stamping normally. But now that I added that water and I started to tap it, it's starting to blot. The colors are starting to run into each other. That is just really, really smart. Now, that's something you can do when you've got this detail. Now, so that's the detail one. So you can see the difference. You can see the contrast there. This one is the center of our lovely poinsettia. I'm going to bring this down. Boom, like that. Pick it up. We're going to go in with peach, because this is the center. This is the flowers in the middle of a poinsettia. I'm also going to use some daffodil, color which I love, being a Welshman. And we're going to bring that down. It's the national flower of Wales, for those of you who didn't know. So there you go. So that's the peach and the poinsettia. I'm not going to spritz into that. I'm going to leave that as it is. That is absolutely perfect. So yeah, lots of fun, different looks, okay? That was with spritzing onto the ink before bringing it down. You can see how it's pooled, how it's got that variegation there. This one, we stamped with the inks and then spritzed afterwards. We did a similar thing with this, but we added the colors one at a time. So you've got more control over where you put those colors and how they blend together. And this one, obviously, we did that wonderful tapping technique where we tap the stamp down like that. So everything starts to flood into each other and we're getting a different effect every single time. So that is the stamping. I'm going to do some foliage. I'm going to take this wonderful piece of foliage and we're going to do a similar thing with some greens. Now, the colors I'm going to use, I'm going to use Mint Chill, which is such a unique, it's similar to some other colors, but there's nothing quite like it at the same time. We're also going to use Green Jean, which is a classic green. This is classic green. So I'm going to bring that down. Again, I want a broken up effect. I don't want perfection. That's what I want. I'm going to embrace that imperfection because it's going to pay dividends when we make a card. There they are. How about that? And again, that's with some spritzing in between, cause the colors to blend together. So let's clear the decks and we'll get my die cutting machine out. So now I'm going to bring in my brand new Sizzix Big Shot Machine. Isn't she a beauty? Now, I've cut up all the bits. I just want you to get a closer look at some of these. See the various, see those colors, the watermelon, the strawberry pie, the peach, all coming together to make that. With it, if you take away one of those colors, it's just not the same. That is the greens. We're going to be cutting this one as well. So lovely, lovely variation in the color there. Now, obviously, I've got these other two bits as well. I could use that, but we'll show you examples using that in a second. Now let's take my plates and platforms out. Lovely brand new plates actually, aren't they? I don't want to start using them, to be honest with you. I wonder if yes, I'm going to use some old ones. That's what I'm going to do, Steve. I am. They're too nice. They are. They should be kept for best. Sunday best. There you go. Let's take those plates out. So obviously, if you've not seen the new Big Shot, there's some stylistic changes, but Jess did some absolutely wonderful videos explaining all that to you. Right, now, I'm going to take this, just take the machine out for a second, because I'm going to use some Maker's tape. If you haven't used this before, it really is a wonderful product because it's a very, very low-tack tape and it never, so none of the residue ever comes off on your paper, on your project, so no glue comes off it and it doesn't tear your paper. And sometimes I like to have little bits just stuck on the side of my machine. So once I've used it, I can use it again. So we make sure that we get the registration on this and we get it. It doesn't matter if it's spot on. That's the beauty of this. If it's slightly off kilter, that extra white around the edge, it actually plays well with the design. So that's number one. Then particularly with this one, I always find. But we'll get it there or thereabouts. There you go. So again, the Maker's tape, this ensures that it stays where it should be. And we'll do these again in a second. So bring in my machine, run it through. Thus, then we'll take those out and we'll repeat with, now you see, there's my Maker's tape. It hasn't lifted any of the card. You can see there's bits of white around the edge, absolutely perfection. Right, and then there's my Poinsettia, wonderful. And just take the dies, take the tape, and it's ready to go again. This one, obviously, it's all on one. So, pop that there, like so. And then this one, now there's usually one which is a bit wonky donkey. And that is the one that I use to make sure I get my registration. Just so. There we are. And that's it. It doesn't take much tape. It's just, it gives you that peace of mind when you're running it through the machine. There we are. And we'll pop those to one side. Again, you know, I can take, sometimes the tape will split, but you know what, it does last an awful long time. And like I say, I do pop it onto the side of my machine to use over and over again. Because we do like value for money, folks, don't we? There we are, let's put those back into the machine with the tape, pop it to one side. Now, that's all my die cutting done. You can see we've got the parts of the poinsettia there, but we're going to need a background, and we're going to use some of those lovely inks from 49 Market, which means I need to bring out my silicone matte, my media matte. I just cannot tell you how much I love this. I really can't. Speaking of love, Pink Sands, this colour, it's become a little bit of an obsession with mine. And the name is absolutely perfect, Pink Sands, because it is a sandy colour, but it is also a pink. It blends really well with browns. It blends really well with reds. It's just one of those wonderful colours which I didn't even know that I needed until I started using it, but I turned to it time and time again. So kudos to the guys at Ranger, and of course Janine at 49 Market for coming up with not just this colour, but obviously the whole range. I did a video a little while back with another set of 49 Market stamps, where I've gone through the whole range of these inks, talking about them, looking at some of the blends. So you might want to go back and check that out. So this is going to be my background. This is where the poinsettia is going to sit. Okay, so these inks, we use them for stamping. You can see they're equally good for blending. But there's another thing. I'm going to leave that on there. It doesn't really matter, because we're going to do a little bit of this now, smooching. So let's get some ink onto the background like that. Whether you press and twist, whether you swipe like that, doesn't really matter. Water-reactive inks, water. Spritz into that. Now, don't put too much water. Don't have that pooling. You can always add more. You can always add more. Now, I know that people like to do this multiple times. That's nice. That gives me an effect. You can see the two different reds going on there. One's got more pink in it, one's more orange. So I'm picking up, I'm filling the gaps. We're going around the edges like that. That's what I'm after. That's my background right there. Okay, so I could dry this off, and I could come back in again with more red. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever works on the day. And you know what? Everyone is going to be slightly different to the one that's gone before it. So I could spritz into this. We could go in with more ink. Once this is dried slightly, I could even lift some of the color off with a paper towel. Let's put some more there. Spritz. Oh, this is going to be great. Do you know what I just did, Steve? I just dropped this on top of my poinsettia. Look at that. Is that a disaster? No, because now it's part of the design. So we don't care. We don't care anymore. Well, we do care, but you know what? We're talking about happy accidents here. Look at that, there you go. Layer upon layer upon layer. So I could dry that off. I could come in with more peach. I could even bring a little bit of cheeky green in from the side, but I'm just going to leave that. I'm just going to leave that to dry naturally. So here we are. It has dried naturally, but what was 10 minutes for me took seconds for you because of the magic of video editing. Isn't that wonderful? Now, let's bring in a little more watermelon, because I just want to go around those edges, just in bits, just to deepen them. You could do this with a brown, but whatever floats your boat. But I want to keep it to the reds and pinks at the moment. So we're just consolidating and deepening those edges so they're much crisper, and it'll give us a little more contrast. So that's it. That's the two parts of my background ready to go. And my poinsettia on which we dropped the stamp. But it doesn't matter. I'm happy with it. I've resigned myself to it, Steve, honestly. I really have. So, spritz. Clean. Simple as that. Love my medium, man. Love it, love it, love it. I'm going to bring back Stencil Stamp Tool because there's a couple more things to do. On this one, I'm going to use, this is a stamp set, we've looked at this stamp set already. It's called Special Delivery. It has all these wonderful stamps. Cancellation marks, these lovely frank marks and everything. Really cool set. I'm going to show you, as I say, check out what we did with that. It's a really nice video. Incoming, this is Fossil. It's a lovely grey. It's a warm grey. Okay, so we're going to use this. Sometimes I like something like this. I don't like using black too much because it's great if you want punch, if you want impact. It's absolutely fantastic. But sometimes, especially given the color palette that we're using today, it can be a little overwhelming and it can take away the focus from where we want it, which of course is with a poinsettia. There we are. This, I was reliably told in a video we did with this at the time, that's called a cancellation mark. I did not know that. So thank you to those of you who took the time and trouble to write in and let us know. Now, this time we'll come in with watermelon. Let's go watermelon. This is my special delivery stamp. Again, the stamping doesn't have to be perfect. It's all about the effect. Now there we are. That's it. One more thing. Let's take that away. Here's my base card, okay? So I can put the whole card down there. And I'll just very quickly bring back in this stamp set. I just want to go, just for an effect, just on the outside. And we're going to bring in pink sand again. That colour that I'm so enamored with. Enamored, obsessed. It's just semantics. It comes down to the same thing. I'm using it way too much. There we are. Just off the edge of my base card. So it's an imperfect stamp. Oh, the stamps are perfect, but my stamping was imperfect. That's fine. I just want it to be almost like a ghosted image. Right, now, let's start putting this whole thing together. This is my background, and I'm going to reach and get my old friend, the tiny attacher. One of my favorite Tim Holtz products of all time. This one, so this square that we just did, I'm going to put it against the side like that. This one is going to kind of come off center, like so. The staples just kind of match the aesthetic that I'm looking for personally. It just works for me. It speaks to me. It really does. So now we're looking at this, and I want to bring in some of my. Now, here's a thought. I haven't got a pair of scissors. Is there a pair of scissors over there, Steve? Because what we're going to do, yeah, I've got the, oh, you know what? I'll be okay. I've got some smaller sticky pads, but thank you, Steve. Yeah. So you prepare for these things, you think, right, yep, I just have a look around, I've got everything I need, and then all of a sudden, my scissors. So we'll put one poinsettia on top of the other. The poinsettia on which I drop my ink pad. So we got some dimension there. Now what I could do as well, I could take the edges and curl them up slightly if I want to get slightly more dimension going on there. Then we'll tape some more sticky pads place them around the base to make sure we get good adherence. And here, I'm just going to put a couple more. There is method in my madness, because this is actually going to house my foliage. There we are. So just take the backs off those, thus. And then there's one more thing. There's one more thing. There's that little, remember we used the peach and the daffodil yellow for the center of the poinsettia. So that is going to sit there. There. And that is it. That's my finished card. And look at where that ink pad was dropped. I mean, has it ruined it? No. Has it made it better? But who knows, it's subjective. It's just sometimes when you're playing around with inks and techniques like that, these little things happen. And every time I look at this card now, that's the first thing I'll think of. Here's another one. Similar, this time with this one we use more peach. You know, so it's a very different look. Same kind of thing, we're using the same kind of stamps. This one is inked from one side. Okay, how about this one here? This is more of a square format, but now this takes the actual detail stamps rather than the block stamps. Now they are meant to be used together, but using them independently, as you can see, doesn't really matter, does it? There you go. There's another one. That's the block stamps. How about putting this time a green background, doing the same kind of smooching techniques with the greens. You can see I've also used liquid gloss, which is a Sizzix product, creates these little dewdrop effects, and particularly when the light hits it, really, really cool. One last one, and I just love this one. We've made with the smaller poinsettia. We've made that lovely, lovely background just by repeat stamping. And this was actually, I was testing those stamping techniques we looked at the beginning. I wanted to see how many different ways I could use it, but ended up using it as a background. So happy accident. But we are talking about Poinsettia Trio from 49er Market, along with a few other 49er Market stamp sets. But it just says Christmas, doesn't it? Really love working with this set. Thank you to Janine and all the guys at 49er Market for coming up, not just with the stamps and dies, but also with these gorgeous ink colors to accompany it. So there we have it, 49er Market Poinsettia Trio, lots of messy, inky fun. Just really cool, lovely to play around with, so many possibilities. And that's what I love. It's the possibilities, because that is value for money if you are buying a stamp stroke die set. So check out all the usual places like Instagram and Facebook and so on and so forth for more makes from 49er Market. But thank you for joining me today. It's been fun. See you again soon.